Welcome to the Sauce Mob. Hit that button that say subscribe and join the ride. You feel me? Chat. We're going to look at the fall off of NBA Live because we need to figure out how they gonna fix it back. We need this game to come back out in 22. I don't care what none of y'all say. We need this game back. So other than that, chat, let's take a look at how NBA Live possibly fell off.
When someone wants to play a virtual game of NBA basketball,
Yeah.
what game do they play?
NBA
Do friends
2K.
ask each other to come over and play live?
No.
Or come over and play 2K?
That's what they say.
If you caught a friend playing NBA Live, you'd probably make fun of them.
I do get made fun of. I
To
do.
them would
I do.
probably be, why? It wasn't always this way, however. When Electronic Arts released NBA Playoffs in 1989,
This is a good start to this video if we being honest, because it's like when you play live, people will ask you why. Like when you play 2K, people don't even ask you why you playing
they
it.
created one of the most successful franchises in the history of video games.
Yes, they did.
Later called NBA Showdown, and in 1994 dubbed NBA Live. The series was once the NBA game of choice.
For everybody.
It was the most well-received, most popular, and most iconic basketball video game of its time.
Oh, that's a good block.
Somewhere along the way, however, something changed. Greed and corruption got in the way.
EA Sports.
Ironically, Live's best shot at returning is to capitalize on its competitors' greed and corruption.
Makes sense.
But it's likely too little, far too late. NBA Live fell victim to stagnation and a lack of innovation.
Okay.
After being the top dog for so long, EA stopped trying. This led to sales dropping, fans leaving, and eventually, of course, desperation. Rebranding to save face.
Okay.
Only to have it backfire so hard that they unrebranded. Hiatus after hiatus. False promises. The few fans they had left became alienated.
Yeah.
The new fans who came to try something new left quickly.
Yeah.
Loyalty was punished. Pain and misery were all that remained.
Could this be happening in NBA 2K? All these microtransactions, the game pay to win. You feel like you're not rewarded sticking around playing 2K. You feel like you're a part of a dying franchise with 2K. This could be happening to 2K in front of our eyes.
NBA Live was really good. In fact, great. But it didn't last. Electronic Arts failed to understand that the bar keeps rising.
Yes.
With new technology comes new expectations.
Yes.
Sometimes, when competition rises, it brings out your best. Oftentimes, however, it doesn't. And then you lose.
Yes, sir.
This is the story of how NBA Live lost.
I heard everything I need to hear from the intro. Like, I don't feel like we need to get any more detail.
We're sponsoring today's video.
Okay, Raycon. I feel like we heard everything we needed to hear. The Rise.
In 1989, EA Sports released a basketball game titled Lakers vs. Celtics.
See, that's the thing. I don't want to hear about the rise of NBA Live. The fall is what I'm interested in. That sounds funny.
Exclusive rights agreement, meaning EA was the only company allowed to make NFL games. This essentially killed off NFL 2K, shifting 2K's focus almost exclusively towards their NBA game.
Yeah, they did only focus on
pressure of making the
I like how they're doing this. Since EA did buy off their football franchise, 2K did have to put all their money and resources into the basketball version of the game, which start leading them to take over the basketball space. Oh, I never looked at it that way. That makes so much sense. That makes so much sense.
The exclusive NFL game, as well as FIFA, MVP Baseball, NASCAR, NHL, and of course NBA Live. 2K, on the other hand, only had to focus on their baseball, hockey, and basketball games, with almost their entire dev team being dedicated to NBA 2K. With NFL 2K out of the picture, NBA 2K, already a great series on the rise, was only going to get better, while NBA Live was going to get less attention. With a new console generation coming, NBA Live's future wasn't looking great. Not only that, but 2K had to release released all their sports games at just $20 that year, so the player base of NBA 2K rose exponentially. The pressure was on EA.
I wish they released the games for $20 now.
Xbox 360 as the first NBA Live game on the next generation of consoles.
And it was trash.
However, NBA Live 06 was bad.
Oh,
While 06 was pretty good on the previous generation of consoles, it was clear what direction the series was heading towards. I made a video on Madden 06's development and how the game was awful on 360 but great on PS2. The same can be said for NBA Live. The only difference was that NBA Live had competition. If you sold your PS2 or Xbox 4 and Xbox 360 and you got NBA Live 06, you would have been incredibly disappointed.
I never seen any of this.
And bought NBA 2K6.
This is a nice intro.
NBA 2K6 released on the 360 as well, and while the game wasn't anything crazy, 2K was able to port over most of their game from the previous generation of consoles and build upon that foundation, while Live started completely fresh. This was the first year that NBA 2K was objectively better than NBA Live. NBA Live 06 was pretty, as the HD graphics looked great at the time.
Okay.
But that's about all the game had going for it. Frame rate issues, awkward animations, and many
this game
features were just
awkward.
lost. After years of upgrading and innovating the franchise mode, it was completely dropped in the next-gen version of Live 06.
What is this?
It was still in the previous-gen version and still very good, but it was only a matter of time before EA stopped developing for the older systems. Live 06 was a sign of things to come, and the beginning of the end for NBA Live's reign
It
of
looks so
success.
robotic.
Unfortunately for NBA Live fans, Live 07 was somehow even worse. Expectations were high as NBA Live 05 was great, and after a down year with Live 06, the series had to improve, right?
No,
The graphics looked great on next gen, so all they had to do was improve the gameplay. Somehow, NBA Live 07 was not only a bad game on 360 and PS3, but it was also a bad game on the PS2. How did they mess that up? Live 07 brought back the franchise mode as well as other requested features such as the dunk contest, but they were straight ports from the PS2 version. The dunks were identical, the exact same animations with no change. Gameplay was neglected despite being the biggest issue with 06, and even got worse in some areas. This was the game that showed Live players that EA didn't care about their once beloved basketball franchise.
I've never seen any of this.
Helped build EA Sports from the ground up back in 1989 was now pushed to the back burner. And for what? Madden and FIFA weren't even good games on the next-gen consoles at this point in time. It was a kick to the stomach. Of course, 2K continued to push the envelope and took on the role that formerly belonged to NBA Live. Live sales were dropping, but the game was still selling well based on name recognition. EA shifted their focus towards maintaining those numbers rather than producing an actual good game.
What is going on
Instead
here?
of fixing the core issues of NBA Live, EA tried to add cool back-the-box features to help advertise the game. Sound familiar? NBA 2K was quickly becoming the NBA game of choice for players and critics. NBA Live 08 and 09 were better, but still not anything great or even good. While NBA 2K kept improving and was becoming a fantastic series,
yes,
it was clear that while EA was trying to beat 2K in sales through marketing, 2K was simply focused on making the best basketball game they could. The people in charge of 2K were making the game from a place of love for the sport, while EA seemed like they didn't care about anything but numbers.
Made sense.
In 2009, something amazing happened for EA.
I played this
Mike Wang, a former 2K employee who was one of the main reasons NBA 2K was taking off, left 2K to join EA and help develop NBA Live 10. On why Wang left 2K, he said, "I was looking at where NBA Live was, and I felt like they were behind us in a lot of ways. I was also looking at my own team and thinking, there's some things I wish we could do differently. We could be different in some ways."
Whoa.
My twisted thinking was, if I could go to EA and I could shore up gameplay, then maybe there'd be this really heated rivalry between 2K and Live again, and it would push the basketball genre forward. Wang was clearly a difference maker. NBA Live 10 was actually really good. No longer could you hold sprint and dunk every possession. AI was vastly improved, animations were improved, presentation was improved, and the game was a huge success. The Live versus 2K debate was real. A notable addition to Live 10 was the dynamic DNA features, which allowed players to play NBA games throughout the season with real player stats, lineups, and more, immersing players into the NBA season. Mike Wang was the hero NBA Live fans deserved.
Yes,
and
he
was here to stay. The future of NBA Live was looking up, and there was now fierce competition between NBA Live and 2K. This is the part where I tell you that NBA Live 10 was the last NBA Live game. until Live 14.
Yeah, that's so weird how that fell off for 3 years. That's so
Mike
weird.
Wang left EA right after the release of NBA Live 10, and he went back to 2K. This was huge news at the time, almost as big as a major coach leaving his new team for his former team. 2K fans were delighted by the news, while Live fans were not happy to say the least. However, NBA Live 10 was pretty good, so how badly could EA mess this up?
Yeah, a
really
lot.
badly, it turns out. It's almost impressive how badly EA screwed up. They killed NBA Live. They killed it. They decided to change the name of NBA Live 11 to NBA Elite 11 and screwed up so bad that they thought it would be smarter to go right back to NBA Live for next year. What exactly happened? So Mike Wang left, went back to 2K, and helped them create arguably the greatest NBA game ever made, NBA 2K11.
That game
EA
was
now
fire!
had the pressure of trying to improve upon their first good game in a while, Live 10, without Mike Wang. Instead of building upon what Wang created and gradually improving like 2K had been since the Dreamcast, EA did what EA always does and decided to throw away what worked and try something brand new from scratch. First, the name change. Longtime NBA Live fans were unhappy. What was wrong with the name Live? It was iconic. And why did Mike Wang leave? What is EA doing? The name change wasn't even close to the worst part of all of this. They completely redesigned the controls.
The whole game.
Gone were the days of pressing buttons to pass or shoot. Now everything was analog, sticks, triggers. How do you even do anything in this game? Passing the ball, shooting the ball. Normally easy things became tedious and impossible for new players. The game released a demo for people to try before release, and it became infamous. One YouTuber named Mr. Lux released a video of a glitch where Andrew Bynum T-poses at center court. It was labeled the Bynum Jesus glitch. Another glitch had Luol Deng draining any shot from a certain part of the court. Besides that, the game was a complete mess, so much so that EA didn't even release it. It was delayed
I've never
and
seen
then
this
canceled.
footage.
Live 10 got roster updates instead. All this, while 2K dropped their best game to date. At Live's peak, the game was fun and easy to play. Anyone could pick up a controller and start using their favorite players. Maybe that's why EA changed the name to NBA Elite, because it no longer was NBA Live. They had no idea what made Live great in the first place. It was all about marketing and had nothing to do with releasing a good basketball game. EA noticed that NBA 2K10 sold more copies than NBA Live 10, so they hit the panic button. Why build on NBA Live 10 if it didn't sell as well? We need to do something drastic. EA failed to realize that in their attempt to gain new players, they lost their core loyal player base. Those that stuck with EA through Live 06 through 09, what were thought to have been the dark ages, were punished. If 2K just released what many are calling the greatest basketball game of all time, with Michael Jordan on the cover, what am I doing here? Reading news about NBA Elite 11. I'm gonna go play that. Players jumped ship and EA just watched. Some stayed around though. When EA announced the cancellation of Elite 11, these fans waited patiently for the next game, holding out hope that the franchise would soon return to its glory days.
That's a
year
shame,
went by.
Chat. That's a shame.
No NBA Elite 12. NBA 2K12 dropped, however, and it was another amazing game. NBA Live fans were disappearing by the second. So of course, when it was announced that EA was working on NBA Live 13, hardcore fans of the series were excited. They brought back the name Live. EA claimed that Live 13 would focus on being an all-new experience that captures on the future of basketball. No one knew what that meant, but it sounded cool. Unfortunately, EA ended up canceling Live 13 due to the game's development being a disappointment.
What
EA
is the development team
would have a
doing?
huge focus on quality, as that would be their main goal. And just like that, it had been 3 years since the last NBA Live game. NBA 2K13 released, however, and was another great installment. And then EA actually did it. They released NBA Live 14 in 2013. Finally, NBA Live was back. NBA 2K14 was another great game, so hopefully Live 14 was too, allowing basketball fans to have 2 good competing games in the market. Unfortunately, NBA Live 14 was really bad. It was a glorified demo, a hollow shell of what was once a great franchise. Player models were atrocious. You'd be better off playing Live 10, massive clipping problems, ugly animations, nothing to do in the game, it was a mess. The Dynasty mode was so bad that you could trade Prime KD straight up for Darren Williams. In the Game Informer review of the game, writer Matt Burtz claimed that in his Dynasty mode, the Hawks won the title, led by Martell Webster. There was no logic to the game. It had a mode called Rising Star, which was EA's attempt at creating a My Player type of mode, but it was terrible. The game was as bad as everyone thought Elite 11 would have been if it released, but it was worse because EA took over 3 years to make the game. People were waiting this long, and for what? NBA Live 15 and 16 were more of the same, critically panned, and nothing worth playing. This was while 2K
Wait,
was
those
in
games
its prime,
actually came out?
2K16 being another entry
never
that
knew
many would
15
call
came
one of
out.
the greatest 2K games ever made. The trailers for NBA Live looked promising, and many players who loved NBA Live when they were younger were curious, hoping, wishing the series would return to being somewhat respectable. Live was cancelled yet again, with NBA Live 17 not releasing. It was pretty much over for Live at this point.
Chad, I don't know what else we need to hear, bro. The point has been made. NBA Live fell off because they kept trying to rebrand, kept trying to make new changes in development, trying to do the dumbest things imaginable to a basketball video game, Chad. Let me know down in the comments, have you even gave NBA Live a try from the years of 2010 up until now? Like, that's a shame. 2K, all those games he said, 2K11 being amazing, 12, 13, 14. I was there with all of those games, and I had fun with so many 2Ks. 2Ks was making better games year after year after year. Them games were hard, bro. So it was hard for NBA Live to compete with that, and I understand why they kept canceling. And it just makes no sense what their production team was doing. Let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments, chat. Other than that, it's been your boy Rease, and peace. Get me up.